talk about giving your power away. Talk about, putting your hands out and saying,
David, interrupt again, and that's why I leave the room, because you just makes me talk so much when I talk to you. They're saying no one could stand up, and they're saying about themselves they could never be a great leader of humanity with freedom and love and power and truth. They have no respect for themselves. I mean, I know I'm real. I know we've had a massive effect. I know how pure it is. I mean, I am 100% real. I know you're real. I know Ron Paul's real. I have discernment, and I've seen the effect, the fruits of the tree, and then this religion of divide and conquer saying, no, there could be no one that's real. There could be no one that had victory. We can't wake people up. We can't win. And, David, I know how close we are to winning. And the fake Bible interpretations about the rapture that isn't even in there until after the devil's defeated. That's what's actually in the Bible. All the 2012... the world's going to end. That's for the New Agers and atheists.
Yeah, they're going to wind that up in the next little while.
Yeah, briefly talk about that, and then we're going to play this final clip. Talk about 2012.
Well, when you look a bit deeper into this whole Mayan thing, it becomes very much less than concrete that any of this stuff was actually there anyway.
Well, you've been to Mexico to top Mayans and others, and I've been to the archaeologists. They say it means a new time, a new hearth, a new, age, like a new 1,000 years.
Yes, and also, we've got the Gregorian calendar and all that stuff, and how do we know that this period of what we call 2012 is the period they were talking about anyway, if they were really talking about it in the same terms? It's something that, the greatest form, or one of the greatest forms of mind control and perception control is repetition. Repeaters. We have teachers in school that just repeat what they're told at training college and in the curriculum. You question them on it, and they're often lost. We have repeaters, scientists, repeaters, the greatest ones, journalists and media people. And we have this repetition of certain stories, like we have a repetition of the 2012 story. So then it becomes real by repetition. It takes form.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, and I think they will manipulate, or quite possibly manipulate things in 2012 to make it seem like some of these prophecies are happening, quite possibly. But there is a change going on. There's an energetic, vibrational information change going on. But it's not something.
And they were able to track in their plan that it was all coming together at that time. So they put out a 2012 end of world thing to pacify non-Christians, just like the rapture myth is used to pacify Christians.
Yeah, I've been talking since for 20 years about a vibrational change that was coming, that was going to take us into a new epoch, into a new age. The first book I ever wrote when I woke up 20 years ago was
But they create a counterfeit.
Yeah, it was called Truth Vibrations after this vibrational change. And, I understood at that time 20 years ago that this vibrational change was going to bring to the surface all that had been hidden so people would see what had been hidden. Well, my God, has that happened or not? And the humanity was going to wake up from its coma. Now, that is clearly happening. But this whole 2012 thing is just, it's a diversion. This energetic change is ongoing. It's not going to come to some peak in 2012. The significance of 2012 is it's not 2011, but it's not 2013 either. This is an ongoing process, and I think there's a lot of people that have bought this 2012 diversion, and they're going to wind it up and push it and make it as much as possible to appear to be happening. But it's a diversion. It's another fake alien invasion, if you like.
I totally agree with you, David. In closing, I want to thank you for all your time, and I want to play this clip of Zbigniew Brzezinski. It's 4 months old, but here he is telling the CFR of Canada, the Royal Institute of International Affairs Canada MI6 branch, on record. Carol Quigley, their historian, admitted it all in '68 in Tragedy and Hope. Here he is telling him there's a global awakening, and for the first time, the entire planet is awake to us. I'm not going to play the whole 6-minute clip, but you can search the term. Zbigniew Brzezinski talks about global awakening, prisonplanet.com, and get it. And he says we're in trouble. and they're actually scared, and you look at their faces. Some people say, oh, that's just them acting like they're weak playing possum. No, he's there rallying his troops saying, look, you better get busy. These people are waking up to us. If these ants ever figure out, like you said earlier, in fact, cue up after this the Bugs Life clip, please. If these ants ever figure out they outnumber us 100-1, our way of life is over. We'll end it with that with David after this clip. But David, here's this clip of Zbigniew Brzezinski.
Okay.
Much more complicated. The other major change in international affairs is that for the first time in all of human history, mankind is politically awakened. That's a total new reality. Total new reality. It has not been so for most of human history until the last 100 years. And in the course of the last 100 years, the whole world has become politically awakened. And no matter where you go, politics is a matter of social engagement, and most people know what is generally going on in the world, and are consciously aware of global iniquities, inequalities, lack of respect, exploitation. Mankind is now politically awakened and stirring. The combination of the two, a diversified global leadership, politically awakened masses, makes a much more difficult context for any major power, including, currently, the leading world power, the United States.
Okay, then they go into questions and answers and talk about New World Order and their world government, and he says they're in trouble. So he says mankind, for the first time in history, and I agree with him, is awake and staring. That was said 4 months ago. Awake and staring. We are now looking past their puppet politicians, past their repeater news media, that like a tree of parrots or a tree of monkeys. We are now looking at them. They can feel our will. They can feel our spirit. They can feel our life force that loves goodness and wholesomeness against their maggot-filled lust for death and destruction. The psychopathic control guild knows that we are awake and staring. David Icke.
Yeah, and what they're also aware of and terrified of is they can feel our awareness. They can see our awareness. Because humanity has been kept in servitude for as long as human history can be recorded, to this point anyway, by the suppression of awareness. People call it ignorance, but it's not just...
And notice he said for the first time in history. They know. They know. He's confirming everything you've said.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we have been through an epoch of suppression, an epoch of suppressed awareness, and suppressed awareness is what is necessary if the few are going to control the many. The few cannot control an open-minded, conscious, sharp-thinking, aware population. They can't. So they work to do the opposite, to keep us in this state of ignorance, multi-level ignorance, even about the nature of reality and who we actually are, which is not the body, it's consciousness, it's awareness, but it's suppressing that awareness, suppressing that memory.
Yeah, we don't know that we are all incredible creatures made by the creator of the universe. And if people realize that, they're like, get out of my way, you little roach, Rockefeller. They know all these secrets, and they used it to enslave instead of empowering.
Exactly. And so what's happening, as what I've been talking about this last 20 years, about these truth vibrations, this energetic change, this epoch change, which is teasing open the suppressed, locked, coma-stated human mind. That's what they're terrified of for a very simple reason. They have been able to control thus far because human consciousness has been asleep. They cannot control humanity when humanity is awake, and we're awakening. And what they're trying to do, Alex, with all their food additives and drink additives, electromagnetic pollution, the generation of fear through all these various things they're doing with the economy and fake alien things and all the rest of it.
Stage terror.
Yeah, stage terror, all the rest of it. What they're doing is trying to in multi-levels, whether it's the chemical level, the electrical level, the energetic level, the vibrational level, the emotional level, the mental level, to suppress this awakening. They're fighting the awakening. That's what they're doing with all this stuff.
Yes, and here's an analogy. You and I speak imperial language. I mean, English is the global empire language. It's the most powerful core of the empire. It is now the world language. We speak English, so you and I are able to interface, use words that connect to images in our minds,
right,
and interface in a beautiful way. But Chinese, Japanese, Mexicans, people speaking Italian, Deutsch, they aren't able to interface with us. And it's the very same thing. You talk about information, cutting down the information, reducing, putting blinders on. It's just like language. Do you speak awakening? Do you speak liberty? Do you speak power of human potential? Do you speak truth? And that's that universal language that connects us all. And it's just like I can speak English, you can speak English. Well, we are now globally speaking the language of love and truth and honor and productivity and everything wholesome and decent. The globalists are afraid of that energy because if they don't suppress it and dominate it, we will be self-sufficient, powerful, sharp creatures that would throw them off incredibly easily. We're 1,000 feet tall. They're a little bug, and they know that. David, I want to play this bug's life, but 60-second response to that.
Okay. What I would say is I'm getting invitations now to more and more new countries that don't speak English, and I'm doing simultaneous translated presentations. But there is a level of awareness that is beyond language where you connect with people even if you can't communicate through words. I feel that all the way around the world when I go to these places. But, what we're talking about here explains why at the very same time that this awakening is happening, it's exactly the same time that the control system is throwing everything at us. This is not a paradox. This is not a coincidence.
This is not the takeover.
Trying to suppress the awakening because if I can know for 20 years that this is coming, then how long have they known it's coming? And they've been preparing for it. They're trying to keep the lid on and batten down the hatches of something that they know is going to bring the house of cards down. And they're whistling in the dark. And this is why they're becoming more desperate. It's because they realize that no matter what they're throwing at us, more and more people are waking up. They're going to run out of fingers to stick in the dike as the leaks spring.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
A wonderful time to live through. Very challenging, but this lot's coming down.
Yes, everyone alive. It's a great honor to be alive at this point in time. And exactly, this is not their takeover. This is their attempt to suppress a literal prophesied insurrection against dehumanization. They are scared, and you can see it, David.
They are trying to hold on to the power they have had through this epoch. But because humanity is waking up, they're having to become more and more blatant in their desperation because they're having to up the ante to keep us in the same state. And this is why it's coming to the surface. It's because they're having to throw more and more things at us, more and more fingers in the dike, and so it becomes more and more obvious what they're doing, and that is a spiral in itself, because the more obvious it becomes what they're doing, the more people see it and start to awaken, and so these people are in desperate trouble. But because they're going to throw everything at us, the next few years are going to be very challenging. But this is coming down.
Well, there's a...
And they're starting to know it.
Exactly. That's why they're bailing out and building armored fortresses in the middle of nowhere in the Cook Islands. But here's the danger. Yes, they're moving with their total takeover plan to block us. We know that. They admit that. You just heard Brzezinski for listeners. Yes, that's going on. But if people don't give their maximum effort, this could go on for a lot longer. And they are counting on intimidating people and battering them down to shut up and go along. But we have to really stand up and say, no, we see you for what you are. I want to play A Bug's Life. I think your final comment. We're going to let you go, David. We really appreciate the time. Here is The Bug's Life that David mentioned.
But there was that ant that stood up to me.
Yeah.
Well, we can forget about him.
Yeah, it was just one ant. One ant.
Yeah, you're right. It's just one ant.
Yeah, boss. They're puny.
Puny? Say, let's pretend this brain is a puny little ant. Did that hurt?
No.
Well, how about this one? Are you kidding? How about this?